past few years have been a difficult period for the UNLV community. We are all, students, staff, and faculty, hopeful that by now the university has weathered the worst of the storm and is moving forward onto solid financial footing. We all remain deeply concerned about our long-term prospects to achieve our goals, of offering broad opportunity for our students, of enhancing our region's competitive position as a research university, and of improving the quality of life for our families on campus and across the valley. While the outcome of last spring cannot be considered a victory, UNLV did stand together on behalf of affordable, quality higher education in the service of Nevada. We as a campus spoke passionately and effectively about our research achievements, our educational commitment to our students, and our value to Las Vegas. This fall, as we have for the past few years, our faculty and our staff continue to show our belief in UNLV by working creatively and harder, by teaching extra courses, by advising additional students, by shouldering heavier responsibilities in service of students, and all of us are reaching out farther and better to serve our community. That energy and that effort gives me such pride in our UNLV faculty, in our staff, and such high hopes for our students. Based on these past few years of collaboration, I have confidence that whatever course we as a campus chart will set high academic standards and will pursue clear academic priorities, and will do so together. I'm now proud to introduce the President of the University, Neal Smatresk, to address where we are as a campus, the challenges we face, and how UNLV is moving forward. President Smatresk.
Thank you very much, Greg. And I want to say to everybody, the Faculty Senate has been an incredible partner over the past few years. The leadership of the Faculty Senate has certainly stepped up to help us through all of the various cuts and crises we've had. And Greg will be a terrific partner this year. He's already off to a fast start, and I look for great things to come in the partnership between administration, faculty, and the Faculty Senate and the rest of our staff. Thank you, Greg. It would be inappropriate for me to start any other way right now than by acknowledging a few people and then by really acknowledging the hard work that all of you have put into this university over the past few years. I would like to briefly acknowledge, and I hope I haven't missed anybody here. I see President Emerita Carol Harder here. Thank you for coming, Carol. And I heard that President Emeritus Pat Goodall would be here, although I don't see him. He might be back there somewhere. We can thank him as well. And I want to just ask if the deans and vice presidents will stand up and let us acknowledge you as part of the team who have ably led this university through the past few years of tough weather. Now, while I've singled out some individuals for recognition, I would tell all of you that the first order of business is to say we have pulled together over the past few years, and it's the passion and commitment of the faculty and staff here, as Greg so ably stated, that has held this university together. Universities are not created from bricks and mortar. They're made from people. And the people at this university are committed to the vision with dedication and making sure that we will move forward and continue to build, continue to serve our state, continue to serve our students, and to create a more prosperous future. It is you sitting in the audience. It is those folks who couldn't come here today. It is the faculty and staff of UNLV who I am so proud of and so thankful for, and I wish we could all join in a round of applause for everything we have achieved together to make sure that we're on solid ground. Now let's see if I can make the technology work. Today we will cover several substantive issues. We'll review the legislative session. We will discuss budget cuts and our current fiscal status. We'll have a planning progress recap because it was time to tune up and brush off our strategic plan. We'll look at our vision going forward, and we'll look at the priorities that we will establish this year through our implementation teams for rebuilding UNLV. If we take a look at what was certainly a challenging year, if we had a series of legislative priorities that I put out in our last State of the University address. We sought to maintain current funding, end the furloughs, restore COLA, merit, and maintain our benefits. I will tell you we did not succeed. We didn't succeed all by ourselves. We had lots of help. And many good people in the Nevada system of higher education, led by the Chancellor, and many, our Board of Regents certainly was in the fray with us, were working hard on these issues. And it simply wasn't something that in the current fiscal climate we were able to achieve. We also asked if we could keep our own tuition and registration fees to invest them on campus so that our students had confidence that the funds that they gave to the university were being invested in their education. And we wanted to separate our tuition and fees from the formula. We did not achieve this. We will not give up, but it is a critical issue for all of us. We requested a formula study, and I'm pleased to announce that under the leadership of the Provost and the Board of Regents and our legislators, the formula study committees are forming, and the formula study will begin, and I think that that's going to be a critical piece of how we move forward. We requested funds to support economic diversification and job creation in Nevada. We received AB 449. It is not a highly funded bill, but it is a platform that we are going to be able to build on going forward. And we also sought to educate legislators and local stakeholders on the value of UNLV. And while I'll say at times that felt like a Pyrrhic fight, I believe at the end we got through to them. We got through to them through the Chancellor's 4-point plan, and we gained many allies from the business community and our legislature in support of the mission of higher education and its central importance to our state. Let's turn to our budget. And I'm going to give you a fairly terse summary of the challenges we've been through. Last year, we had an initial set of proposals that would have been and represented draconian cuts to this university. We received about half of the originally proposed cut. And as Greg Brown said, while we won't declare that a victory, it was certainly better than it could have been and left us able to manage our way through the budget crisis. But we have lost $73 million and over 700 positions. I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up here. We have lost $73 million and over 700 positions since 2007. Furloughs and salary cuts have been implemented. Our students are paying 13% more in tuition, and we thank them and hope that we'll be able to continue to give them the classes that they need to proceed in a timely fashion. Our benefits have been seriously cut, and we are covering the load here at UNLV because the load is nearly the same as it was at our peak through your hard work and commitment to UNLV. Now the good news, and I think this is something I hope we will all internalize. We are on solid financial ground, and we have a sustainable budget going forward. Through the hard work of our Chief Financial Officer, our Provost, and the Cabinet, we made sure that we had cuts that reflected the cuts that were delivered to us. We prepared vigorously and far in advance to meet this session, which we knew was going to be a low water mark for Nevada. And at this point, I believe we have a sustainable budget going forward. Perhaps most importantly, through the sacrifice of many faculty members who took the TV SIPs that we offered, we were able to protect tenure at UNLV. This is a fundamental principle of our university. It's a commitment that I made last year, and I'm pleased to tell you that through the worst budget crisis we've faced in Nevada history, we did not eliminate tenured or tenure-track faculty. While we have lost programs and program structure, we protected students in our core academic programs, and I think this is critical. critical because students need to know they have a solid set of programs that they can select from as they go forward to complete their careers and career aspirations. We were worried at one point that we were going to have to very significantly cut GA lines as part of our budget cutting maneuvers. We protected those GA lines, and we're proud to say that we will build on that success of protecting them, as you'll see in a later part of this discussion. And at this point, I will tell you, I believe that short of global economic meltdown, and if you looked at the stock market today, there could be a legitimate worry, I believe that we are at a low water mark. And while we know we still have a structural deficit in our budget going forward, as we see tourism on the Strip pick up, and as we see revenues increase, the size of that structural deficit will shrink. And again, this year, the size of that deficit was the size of the sunsetted taxes that were renewed. And so I am confident that our legislators will put together either an appropriate package of sunsets and continue them, or an appropriate set of new tax policies that will allow us to stabilize our budgets and build on solid ground as we go forward. And I want this to be a key feature of what you take away today. We are on solid financial ground. I'm planting a flag in the bottom. We've been looking down, and it's time to start looking up again. We should talk about exactly what our current fiscal status is, and you know that I believe in transparency of all of the numbers that we produce for the university. This year, in order to catch up to the budget that we will have implemented, we have $14 million in bridge funding as a whole in our budget. But because of the pay date shift, and I know there's been confusion about that, so let me please make sure everyone here understands. Everyone who works here will be paid for every day they work. But through the expedient measure of shifting a payday from the end of the month to the beginning of the next month, we will be able to generate approximately $17 million in one-time funds, and that will cover the bridge funding that we need to move through this year. It's a trick you can do once. Now's the time to do it. We have also been prudent. We prepared an adequate reserve level because we didn't know how big the cuts were going to be. The cuts could have truly been catastrophic, and had we not saved, we would have been poor financial managers of this institution. The cuts weren't as large as we expected, and that affords a measure of opportunity because we now have a pool of one-time funds available for strategic investments back into the infrastructure of our university to help us achieve our vision. And finally, we have about $1 million for hires, and we can replace faculty and staff members going forward as they are lost. We will continue to do so as strategically as possible. And if the Board of Regents grants an additional tuition increase to the Nevada system of higher education, we could generate another $6.5 to $8.5 million of go-forward money that we can use for the rebuilding effort and for staffing back in highly critical areas and areas where the state needs our support and areas where our students need our support. Now, I have to pull out and discuss very separately our health care benefits and PEBP. If there's one issue I have heard repeatedly as I've gone to faculty meetings around this campus, it's that the health care benefit plan that we have this year is hurting our faculty, it's hurting our staff, it's making it difficult for people to get critically needed health care, to afford prescription medications, and in fact, it is perhaps one of the largest and most significant of the cuts that we saw coming out of the session last year. We know our benefits fell dramatically, but the good news is, led by UNLV and Jerry Bomati, and you all know just how tough Jerry is, the Nevada system of higher education and Bart Patterson are seeking a healthcare consultant group to help us investigate our options. And I will say unequivocally, at least for UNLV, we want to move out of PEBP. Now I'm going to quote or perhaps misquote our chancellor. Healthcare benefits, an amateur elected board. What could possibly go wrong? We'll be discussing a direct supplement to our healthcare benefits if we can't successfully achieve our goal of moving out of PEBP with our Board of Regents, and we hope that we'll be able to offer you some hope for a better benefits package next year. I know how critically you all want this. And we are also continuing to look at and track possible financial incentives or penalties tied to participation in the wellness program. But you need to know that this is a top priority. The Council of Presidents discusses it virtually every single meeting. Our Chancellor is highly supportive of it, and our Board of Regents are going to help us to move forward and to get a benefits package that we can use to recruit and retain as opposed to dissuade. Now, one of the pieces of this speech, which is a mandatory piece, is to review the commitments we made last year to move the campus forward and to talk about what success we had on them. Last year, we listed approximately 6 major goals that we were trying to achieve, along with the many things we do every day. First, we proposed that we should implement differential tuition, expand self-funded programs, and use education outreach to generate new revenue streams. I'm proud to say those efforts were successful. The board approved them. The programs that are benefiting from differential tuition and self-funding are stable. They were not on the chopping blocks, and we have been quite entrepreneurial in generating funding streams that support us and help the provost to manage an academic budget that has been a bit challenging, especially around part-time fees. So I'm going to say we've done a good job on that one. We've completed it, and that we'll continue to look for entrepreneurial opportunities. We proposed to develop a funding model that would help improve freshman enrollment and success. Some of you have heard me discuss the Rebel Challenge, and to support upper division and graduate education. At this point, we've raised tuition 13% this year. In the face of such a large raise, we have to take a wait-and-see attitude to see what subsequent increases we'll see in tuition, because we know that for our students that creates barriers to access. And we also have to await the results of a formula study, which I hope will offer us the ability to fund and incentivize the production of bachelor's and advanced degrees in a region that critically needs those degrees. And finally, we're going to collaborate with deans and faculty senate to implement general education plans and first-year programs. That's a high priority last year. We didn't quite get it across the finish line, but I think we had very healthy discussions. And as ably led by Cecilia Maldonado, and I know she's out there somewhere, and by Greg Brown, we think we will be able to move forward and get approval for beginning to implement a plan for through this year. We said we were going to expand our Brookings educational and curriculum partnerships and make participating faculty Brookings Fellows. This is one of the great rays of light that I believe we've experienced in the past few years. Our Brookings interaction has led to so many productive interactions between faculty, students, and Brookings Fellows. We have much better connections to Washington, inside the Beltway connections. We are publishing the Brookings Mountain Monitor, which is increasingly becoming viewed as a high-quality source for information about the economic health of the metros in the Intermountain West. And our faculty and students are working with Brookings scholars to create a Brookings minor, and that's currently being drafted with the help of UNLV faculty. I think that we have a lot to celebrate in the success of our interaction with Brookings, and it certainly brings credit and reputation to this university. The Lindsay Institute Faculty and Graduate Fellowships for 2011 should have been awarded last year. That was one of the commitments we made. In fact, we have awarded them. They're working hard. In many cases, they're working with Brookings faculty, and I would want to recognize Lindy Schumacher, who I know is out in the audience, for her great efforts with the Lindsay Institute, and just say this is something that we're also very proud of and we believe is one of the great paths forward to helping this region to produce the human capital that it needs. We said it was time to give our strategic plan, Focus 50 to 100, an update, and you're going to see the results of that soon. We've done a nice splice job between Faculty Senate input and administrative input, and I'll talk about that momentarily. And we said that we were going to improve our culture and commitment to diversity. We delivered a campus climate survey. The recommendations from the Faculty Senate and the Presidential Advisory Committee will be forthcoming. I know that great progress has been made in that area, and that will be part of something that I believe the Faculty Senate will roll out for discussion in the next Faculty Senate meeting on Tuesday. So I look forward to the recommendations, and then I look forward to engaging the Office of Diversity Initiatives, now led by Vice President Luis Valera, to tackle the challenging issues we face around diversity and campus climate. Now I want to step back and I want to talk about the planning tune-up. And the first thing I want you to do is to remember a little bit about what we said we wanted out of Focus 50 to 100. And if you haven't read it for a while, maybe go to our website and take a look. Because I will tell you that if you look at that plan, it's a solid plan. It's a good plan for moving us forward. It is quite encompassing, and it had a number of implementation points that I'm very proud to tell you that we successfully have put into play and implemented over the past 3 years. But what did we say we wanted, and is our plan still relevant? We asked for an aligned campus community with shared identity and values. We're moving in that direction. I believe that you can see, especially through our accreditation visit, that we were very successful in having a campus community that gathered together and supported our accreditation efforts and supported a great vision for UNLV going forward. We said we wanted better educational effectiveness and student success. Our retention for freshmen has steadily gone up. Our 6-year graduation rates have steadily improved. We've implemented the Academic Success Center, and we're proud to move forward. I just got to give you a great statistic. If a student visits the Academic Success Center, it doesn't matter what class they're in, what year they're in, they have a 94% chance of being retained the following year. That's an amazing statistic. Congratulations to Ann and David Forges for that. Our freshman retention rate will be approximately 80% this year, which is well above the state university national average, and is something that has grown steadily since we've been here and reflects a commitment to providing a warm and success-inducing atmosphere for our freshman students. We are also going to continue to drive home our efforts around educational effectiveness, as you'll see momentarily. We said we wanted decisions driven by planning and improved focus. I think that while the budget cuts have certainly not expanded our efforts as an educational institution, they have forced us to evaluate what the core of our university is and what is the strategic base that we will build off of going forward. And I do believe we're using data far more effectively than we have to evaluate what is critical for this campus. We said we wanted to have better community and legislative effectiveness. I will tell you that our partnerships with business through our foundation and through our legislators have improved steadily, and hopefully that will translate into an improved fiscal climate for our university in the near future. We said we would use research themes to guide investments, and we wanted to create a more collaborative research environment. And there's ample evidence of that. And again, the effort revolving around how we focus limited investments will be critical in the plans of this university going forward. And we said we wanted improved image and rankings. I would submit to you that the plan is still relevant, and now what we need to do is to ask some questions through our planning tune-up about what our priorities are going forward. As a result of a strategic planning retreat that had administrative, student, faculty representation as well as pro-staff representation in it, and as the result of a faculty senate exercise in planning priorities, we have identified the following priorities as part of our planning tune-up. And I'm going to tell you, these are generally consistent with the original Focus 50 to 100 plan. However, they represent slightly different emphasis in terms of how we move forward. First, we said we wanted to improve scholarships to recruit a more highly qualified freshmen. And again, while we don't have the resources to continue growing exponentially as we have in the past, the emphasis now will be on selectivity and qualifications of our incoming students to further enhance their success and to minimize the needs for remediation. We said we wanted to complete our general education plan and build first-year programs to offer a better qualified student body a more rigorous curriculum. We have prioritized the recruitment of exceptional and diverse faculty to enhance our offerings, reputation, and rankings, and to water the green spots and the many strengths that we have on our campus. We've said that we want to establish strong faculty mentoring programs to enhance retention and faculty success. And these will be critical and key activities of the Senior Advisor to the President, Marta Miana, and the VP for Diversity Initiatives and Governmental Affairs, Luis Valera, as we move forward. And we are going to strongly commit to providing better mentoring to improve the qualifications and success of our faculty. We said we'd work with K-12 to require ACTs and to improve college readiness. And while the interface between us and Clark County is still challenging, we will not give up on this task, and the Chancellor has made sure that we will continue to interact in positive ways with the K-12 structure of our state. And then finally, for the campus as a whole, we feel a strong need to communicate our quality image to prospective students, to the region, and to the world. So we've got to take our light out from under the bushel, and we have to tell people what UNLV is all about and how good we are. I think most of you know that we've organized our planning priorities around 3 implementation teams. One's education, one's research, and one's infrastructure. For research, our key planning priorities are to hire faculty teams to enhance strengths and reputations. In some cases, this might require what people refer to as cluster hiring, several faculty in related areas so that we can have a large impact, especially around issues of economic diversification. We want to develop a regional economic development interface with public and private stakeholders. Increasingly, this state is asking higher ed to help lead the way to a more diversified economy by acting as a resource for the private sector to attract new businesses and, of course, to train a highly qualified workforce for those new businesses. So we're going to work on that. We're going to prioritize extramural funding success and support to develop extramural funding. We will seek to increase GA stipends to incentivize PhD student recruitment and retention, a critical area for a research university. We want to prioritize reorganization of the graduate college, something that's already begun, and we are going to reconstitute the Faculty Research Council. We need to address our needs for research space and infrastructure, develop relevant research experiences for all of our students, because that's one of the great educational benefits of a research institution. And of course, if we're going to pursue a vigorous research agenda, we need to maintain our library's capacity to support research. The infrastructure list should actually be far longer than this, but I'm going to summarize the priorities that came out of the planning exercise. Number 1, improve health benefits and restore competitive salaries so that we can continue to be a competitive university. And while this is challenging, I think we need to seek from our legislators and our Board of Regents an idea about when the cuts will end and when we may begin to look forward. Of course, our legislators will have a lot to say about that. We need to develop a funding formula that supports upper division in graduate education and research. We need an IT master plan to improve. We need to improve our instructional technology, and we need to support the continuing development of Integrate, both the first phase and Integrate 2, the business phase, which we are once again leading for the system. We need to support campus master planning, UNLV Now, and the Midtown Vision to create the campus, the sticky campus that our dear colleague Milt Glick used to refer to, so that our faculty and students stay here, learn here, recreate here, and are successful here, because we know the more they're here, the more successful that they will be. We need to really work hard on improving promotion and tenure processes to make it transparent, to make our expectations clear, and again, to provide the critical mentoring so that faculty can be successful and we can build scholarly outputs that are wonderful for all of us as we look forward to improving in the future. And we need to enhance the support we give to our students and our customer service to our students. We're charging more money. We need to make sure that our students are having a great experience when they come here. And that's something all of us need to participate in. Now, planning priorities are a wish list. And we've always had many, many different items on our wish list. Where the rubber hits the road is how we implement a plan. We have 3 planning implementation teams. Each of those teams has 2 representatives that were nominated by the Faculty Senate on it, the critical staff who are knowledgeable about that area, and they're led by the vice presidents. The executive vice president and provost leads the education team. Our vice president, senior vice president for finance and business leads the infrastructure team, and our VP for research and the graduate college leads the research team. These teams are charged with helping us to implement our plan. But let me talk to you now for a moment about where the rubber hits the road. And that is, can we finance the dreams that we have? And how will we do that? Through, again, careful fiscal management. We will have one-time funds that we can invest in things that are critically needed to build capacity to support education and research on our campus. We will also have some continuing funds going forward, again, primarily contingent on Board of Regents' decisions around registration fees and tuition. We will begin this year to make a series of hires. And here's where we all need to pull together. We will authorize the funds to begin searches. And I will have to say, pending availability of funds, but we are confident that we can get well into this list of approximately 30 high-impact and opportunity hires to support the strengths that we've built over the years and to make sure that we are supporting the state's vision for economic diversification. So we're looking for people who can help solidify the strengths that we currently have on campus. Great programs, for example, in the Boyd School of Law, in creative writing in the Black Mountain Institute, in our hotel college, in science, engineering, and in many other disciplines where we are proud to show strengths. And what we're looking for are people who can help lead us into a very high-quality future, who can show the rest of the country that Nevada's not dead in the water, but that we're still growing and we're prospering and we're moving forward. We want to increase PhD stipends, effective fall of 12. I will be specific. In order to incentivize PhD production, we would like to add $1,000 to the base PhD stipend for an entering student and $2,000 for a student who has achieved qualifications to officially be termed a PhD student, whether it's prelims or oral defense, as they move forward. So a total of $3,000 difference from the current PhD stipend level. This is still short of nationally competitive in every area, but it is a very positive step in the right direction to help us recruit strong, great students who will bolster our research efforts and go out and build credibility for us as they assume high-level academic positions and positions in the private sector. We will accelerate our IT planning and implementation. I've talked to you about Integrate 2, but we are looking at server space, access through our partners at Switch Communications to the cloud, which I think is a growing area of research interest and support, and will vigorously support those with IT-intensive and data-intensive demands in their research. And we need to look at how we will implement, accelerating the implementation of digital measures, the faculty database that will support generation of dossiers for promotion and tenure, CVs, bios, and updating web pages. We also need to look hard, and hold your applause for just a second. We need to look hard at a new email system. Now you can applaud. And I think it's time that we actually move that forward so that we can all have a much simpler time accessing the data that we have. We're also having discussions. I have to kind of joke. It's easier for me to log into my retirement account and manage the money that I have than it is for me to log into almost anything at UNLV. A common portal, one sign-in, all services available, is something that we seek. And I know it'll take us a while to get there, but we will continue to push for much easier access for faculty and administrators to all the different data sources, to the student information systems, to your benefits, to your email, to your web instructional packages. So that's going to be a commitment that we make as well. We will proceed, as I said before, with Integrate 2, which will help us to improve our business practices. Very important investment that we are going to commit to is we will develop a comprehensive faculty mentoring program to better recruit, retain, and support faculty, and in particular, diverse faculty. We will create an Office of Economic Development. We will begin to implement general education and first-year experience plans. We've started, and now we need to expand our efforts so that we're offering a high-quality induction experience to our freshmen that will improve their success. We need to focus our recruiting activities, financial aid, and scholarship distribution to attract highly qualified students. We've made major changes in how we're packaging financial aid. We've made major changes in how we will distribute scholarships, particularly to non-residential students. And we need to ramp up and enhance recruiting overall so that we can bring in highly qualified students. Last year we brought in 3 National Merit Scholars. This year we brought in 3 more National Merit Scholars. We have about 14 National Merit Scholars on campus. We'd like to have about 30 or 40 National Merit Scholars on campus. We need to provide better packages and be more aggressive about building the academic and qualifications of our freshman students as they go in. And as we do that, our students who are here and our alumni will see the value of their degrees increase. We need to focus fundraising and philanthropic efforts on supporting our faculty, especially during these lean times, and on supporting student scholarships. And I have been spending most of my personal fundraising efforts through the angel investments that we have. We've created quasi-endowments that can support approximately 20 faculty. In the not-too-distant future, we're going to make an announcement that will be very significant for one of our colleges in a major naming gift that will support faculty and students. And we have been really working with a number of different foundations and groups for expanding student support, like the kinds of support our Engelstadt scholars have right now, which at maturity will support approximately 100 highly qualified and high-need students. Those are great students, and we want to get as many on our campus as we can. We will begin replacing interim appointments in executive leadership with national searches for highly qualified people to move us forward. We will identify and resolve barriers to student graduation, and I was just in a great meeting with the chairs yesterday in which we talked about many of these, but I want it to be everybody's business to make our students successful, to not throw up roadblocks, but to help them knock down the barriers to their graduation, to find ways to put the classes we need on the table and to make sure that they're getting the services and support they need so that we can graduate our students in a timely fashion. I think this is critical for the future success of this campus. So, we will invest in our planning priorities in concrete ways to help us achieve the vision that we've laid out. And the question that I would ask for all of you is, what does the next iteration of UNLV look like? Given the limitation of resources in our current fiscal status, we will become more selective with an emphasis on student success, and we will drive freshman enrollment because we know that they gain learning outcomes in higher measures than many of the other students who come in after our freshman year. We are going to build better learning and research environments for an increasingly qualified, diverse student and faculty body. That means investing in our classroom technology and investing in critically needed research spaces or scholarly spaces so that faculty don't have barriers to being able to publish, to being able to perform, and to being able to get grants. We need an increased emphasis on scholarship and research to build reputation and improve extramural funding. It's time that we began slowly raising the bar and clearly communicating our standards to the faculty who come into this university so that they can be highly successful. We need to expand our commitment to economic diversification through focused hires and programs, and we need focused growth around the core of sustainable programs that we have as a result of the winnowing that we've been through. These are critical features for UNLV. Now, we won't get there without your help. The vice presidents, the deans, the chairs, the faculty, the staff. We need to gather together, like we did for our accreditation visit, and we all need to work to achieve our dream. I need your best ideas. I need to know when you're seeing barriers. We need to know how we can do better and serve our students better and serve this region better. Your passion and commitment have made all the difference for UNLV as we grew to the institution that we are today. I need your leadership, passion, and commitment now to help move this forward and to make UNLV the UNLV of the future that you have all told me you want. And the time to do it starts now. The time to do it starts now. And we need to let our community know what an incredible asset they have, and that this region and this state can never achieve its potential unless they invest in UNLV, they invest in the future economy of this state, and they invest in the students who need degrees to improve the quality of this region and to build that better future that we've all talked about. And so I also need you to help me send out the good news to this community. I need you to share what you know about our university. We need you to show the pride and passion that you have, and we need to send a strong message to our whole community about UNLV.
Yes, we've been down, but this is Las Vegas. Don't ever count us out. This community has passion. It has vision. It will overcome the challenges and ultimately prevail. And it all starts and ends with education. That is the key to maximizing our potential. We need a diversified economy, a community that invests in its youth, a community whose quality of life for its residents does not solely hinge on the success of a brilliant boulevard. Education refines the gifted. It gives hope to those seeking a better future. It gives a voice to those who want to change the world. Education makes the weak strong, and we are all made better because of it. It's time for us to come together and stand for something we all believe in, ourselves. This is our future. This is our community. This is our university. Rise with us.
I thank you all so much, and asking you to rise with us wasn't actually a request for a standing ovation, to be clear. But I think the message is powerful, and it's time we got it out to the community. And I believe that the time to make a difference for this university is now, the time to influence our legislators so they understand the value of UNLV is now. And I'm confident with the people in this room and the incredible faculty and staff and student populations of this campus that we will work together, and I ask all of you, rise with us. Thank you so much. And if we can turn up the house lights, I would certainly like to address questions, because I know that you always have questions and are ready to hold my feet to the fire. So please come down. There are microphones to the right and left. And if you have questions, we've got all the expertise we need up here on stage, and we'd love to answer them for you. Now, I'd be shocked if Mary Hausch's students weren't at the microphone.
We're on the way.
Okay.
Hello. Fine speech. I just wanted to ask whether or not you believe tuition rates will hold steady, or do new incoming students and returning students face bigger raises?
At this point, I'd have to tell you, with the state level of support we have, the only way we can build our campus and offer you all the classes that you need, and we know there's critical bottlenecks that we're not serving right now, is for another tuition increase. We hope that it can be reasonable. We hope that I can provide, and others who raise funds for us will be able to expand our commitment to providing financial aid and scholarships to you. But I think there's a partnership here. And on our side of the equation, we need to offer you great faculty, access to top quality research experiences, and we need to make sure that critically needed classes are provided, and we can't do that without funding. Right now, we're at a level. We don't have a lot of room to expand. With an increase in tuition, we'll be able to build and grow and give you the experience that you so richly deserve.
Thank you, sir. One more question. You spoke about having a reserve of money for new hires. I was just wondering, why is that money being used towards new hires rather than sustaining the faculty and staff that we have before they're lost?
Great question, and one I get at virtually every single faculty meeting. If you took a look at the level of money we have for new hires right now, I'll tell you it's $1 million. I know it sounds like a lot. It isn't much for hires. And that's where we are unless we get a tuition increase. $1 million would be a raindrop in the desert for trying to restore the cuts and the lost benefits that our faculty are currently facing. Yet we know that if we can hire a few students in areas where we have been depopulated, and there's a few departments that got hit very hard by the TV SIPs, that we'll be able to make sure you have the classes you need and our programs will be able to continue. I think the continuity of programs and our efforts to provide you with high-quality degrees has to be our top priority right now. And I think that we're going to need a legislative solution to make sure that we can restore nationally competitive salaries and benefits to our faculty. Having said that, I think it's incumbent on all of us to look very carefully at where modest investments of one-time funds can be used to support faculty success, particularly for assistant professors.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. My question is, with the increases in tuition, what's going to be the incentive for people to stay in Nevada rather than going to a neighboring state where we get a discount on tuition?
Well, the simple answer is because we're still cheaper than they are. The more compelling answer is that you should select an institution based off its ability to offer you the degrees and career paths that you seek. We are working hard to build the best degree paths we can for you. And I mean, I'll just take a for instance. We attract a huge non-residential population. We have students from 50 states, and we have students from over 80 countries at UNLV. Most of those students are paying about $18,500 a year to come here. So there's a market, and that international marketplace helps to underscore what the value of a UNLV degree is. We know that, for example, students coming out of our College of Business are very competitive in getting great jobs, especially in some of the high-needs areas like MIS and accounting. We know that students out of our hotel college, the premier hotel college in the country, are getting great jobs and are moving into leadership positions on the Strip. If you look up and down, you'll see CEOs in many of the casinos are now UNLV graduates or alum. As we approach 100,000 graduates, and that's something to celebrate, as we approach 100,000 graduates, which will hit during our December graduation exercise, I would submit to you that a UNLV degree for a residential student is an incredible investment in their future and will pay itself off manyfold over their life.
Thank you.
Hi, Neal.
Hi, Lindy.
I'll try and keep my question toned down. You mentioned in your speech that you fought tirelessly to keep UNLV students' money at UNLV, and we didn't win that one. It is something I've spoken very loudly about. And if you were to ask me as a student of UNLV for 13% more, I would say you can have your 13% more, but it needs to stay here. If it's going to go to a general fund and come back at 4 or 5%, then I'm going to go elsewhere. We are not wasting a bad economy. We're fighting dearly at one of the toughest times. But as we watch UNLV rise from the problems of the past into a future, I want to hear the president of my university say that you will never stop fighting to keep UNLV dollars at UNLV.
I will tell you that it will certainly be our top legislative priority, and I don't believe I'm putting words in the Chancellor or the Board of Regents' mouth when I say that the first step in a fair funding formula is to separate the tuition, to allow us to retain and be restored our non-residential tuition, and to keep the money that we raise here on campus. So you have my pledge to that.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. How do you expect that customer services will be improved for students?
We've already made some strides in that in the 4 years that we've been here. I want to point to a few different things that we've done. First, we've created an academic success center in which students can get very, very inexpensive tutoring, peer counseling, peer tutoring, as well as advising and some limited career advising. We know we're going to have to rebuild our career advising efforts, and those are all strong support for our students. We also know that students who visit that center graduate at much higher levels than students who don't, and so we want to make sure that students are aware of this. We've put into place something we call the class concierge, led by Gail Juneau, so that when students who are nearing graduation experience some bumps and can't get the critically needed classes that they have to graduate in a timely fashion, that we knock down the barriers for them. We appeal to instructors and to deans and to associate deans and chairs so that we can place them in the class. We've built a student one-stop, and you've probably been over there in that student services area. It's right across the path from the Academic Success Center to try to simplify your ability to engage. And finally, through our new student information system, the Integrate system, which has created a new My UNLV portal, we seek to continuously expand online services to students and online counseling and online services that we think will help them to manage their academic careers better. So we're continuously improving things like degree audits and other kinds of things that will allow you to track your progress, make fewer errors, and graduate in a timely fashion. I'll tell you, I believe that extends through our orientation activities, that extends to our recruiting activities, and that needs to extend to our commitment to you to deliver learning outcomes that will serve you all your life to help give you a solid and strong career and make your employers proud that they hired you.
Thank you.
Do you foresee a tobacco-free policy being implemented on the campus within the next few months here?
Would you, a tobacco?
A tobacco-free policy?
Oh, thank you. I don't know. I have been told these are difficult to implement. I've also been told they're easy to implement. We know there's pros and cons from a mechanical perspective. Certainly from a philosophical perspective, we would like to see a tobacco-free environment and workplace here on our campus. But I'll tell you, you're not talking to the most highly qualified person about this discussion. Several folks in student affairs, our chief business officer, and others have been discussing it. And I know that nursing and Susan have been working hard on this issue. And I am basically awaiting the results of their reports so that I can begin to understand the details of it. And so I'm sorry to say I don't know yet, but I don't know yet.
And what would you say to the nearly 6,000 students who consider themselves smokers when they have to go off campus to have a cigarette?
Well, I think that's one of the challenges we face is if you're a faculty member, a student, a staff member who smokes and you have to actually vacate the campus in order to smoke, what does that do to our ability to serve our students, to make sure we're staffed and to support them? On the other hand, how are non-smokers impacted by folks who are creating an environment that has smoke in it? So again, there's balanced issues around it, and I'll tell you that I don't have a resolution to it at this time. It has been an ongoing topic of conversation, and I look to continuing the conversation and the dialogue.
Thank you.
Hi, my question is, how will creating a more selective process for new freshmen expand education in Nevada overall?
Well, we have a three-tiered system of education here, and one of the things that we've learned is that when we bring in students who aren't highly qualified for a research university environment, that they are challenged because they're not necessarily ready. It requires remediation, which is expensive and doesn't apply to graduation. And in some cases, it is frustrating to the students because they're placed into classes in which their chances to succeed are not as good as they should be. So one of the issues that we have to deal with is how do you appropriately understand a student's readiness to attend college, and that we need to work out with our K-12 partners because we need better information and we don't have it yet, to be honest. The second thing we need to understand is that we have this three-tiered system of education. We have community colleges, we have Nevada State, and we have UNLV. And for those who aren't ready for a research university experience, a good start at a community college or a degree from Nevada State is something that everyone can still be proud of and give people a chance to get their legs under them. And then if they choose to, they can pursue their degrees here.
Okay, I just have one more question, please. I don't really have any numbers, but according to the stories in the review journal at the beginning of every semester, students can hardly get into CSN or other community colleges. So do you think that students who are not accepted at UNLV will have the opportunity to expand their education in the future?
I think a lot of changes are going on in the Nevada system of higher education, and I could invite the chancellor up here, but I'm going to try to paraphrase an answer for you. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Our budget's been severely cut. It's difficult to maintain service levels in the face of the cuts we've received, and if our mission is to build a quality future as opposed to a quantity future, then we have to make sure that we're providing a quality education to our students with the resources we have. Part of the exercise that we are going through now is that in the face of very large reductions of our state base, we are attempting to hold the line around the number of students that we currently had. In fact, we're a little down in enrollment this year, and that's partly, I'm sure there's contributing circumstances there, partly because of tuition, partly because of other factors. So if that's true at UNLV, it's true at Nevada State, and it's true at CSN. I believe you'll see fairly significant changes in admission policies in all three of those areas in the near future. And what they'll mean is that the Clark County School District will have to step up to produce more college-ready students at a higher level.
Thank you.
I have a question. The athletic department is, a key component to the success of the university. So maybe you can explain maybe what's being done with academics to help the success of the academic program, which of course would make the university more successful?
Well, I think you saw a lot of those plans rolled out today. Let me first just say, wasn't that a great football game against Hawaii Saturday?
That was.
One of the parts of a complete campus experience is the ability to participate as a spectator or as a student athlete in college athletics. I know it builds community, it's family, it creates a family feel, and you've heard me refer to athletics as the front porch. People from the community come in to our athletic events, they look around, and maybe if they like us, they'll come into the rest of the campus and they'll participate. Many of our donors are drawn into our campus through athletics and then ultimately become very significant donors who improve the student experience. One of the things we've learned from athletics is that if we provide a high-touch environment for helping to support our student athletes academically, that they are very, very successful. We know the Academic Success Center, the general education program we're proposing, and first-year experiences are an attempt to take some of the lessons that we've learned from athletics and other areas and extend them to all of our freshman population so that they too have the same opportunities to succeed. And I think there's your most potent example of a little bit of crosstalk between what we've learned in athletics and what we've learned about the main campus and how we're going to try to infuse those values into support for all of our students.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm hearing that it's about time, so I think we can field one final question, and then I'm going to invite all of you to a very important dedication.
Good morning. You said we're on stable grounds right now with the budget cuts. How long can we expect to stay on those stable grounds?
I would like to, well, I think anybody who knows me knows I'm hopeful. And I can't live in a world where I constantly look down. I believe that our budget is stable, that our state base will be stable. I believe that the efforts of the state to build a diversified economy will in fact help to enrich funding at UNR, UNLV, and the Desert Research Institution. And so I believe we're at rock bottom. I believe that a tuition increment will help us to build and stabilize further. And I don't see, again, and you know, you always have to say short of utterly unpredictable global issues, and in that case, well, we'll be in a lot of good company with everyone else and every other higher ed institution in the country. Short of that, I don't believe you'll see a further erosion or a significant erosion in our funding. So we're stable. We don't plan to lose any more faculty or staff. We don't plan to lose any more programs or degree programs other than in the ordinary kind of inspection that we give programs to make sure they're producing. And I am confident that all of us who are here today can expect the programs that we need in the core programs of this university to persist.
That's good news. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Now, I thank all of you for your patience. I thank the students for asking great questions. And I want to now ask all of you to join us for our Science and Engineering Building dedication. And just a couple words. Part of the great models that we've seen going forward from different states to produce a more diversified economy has been a commitment to building research capacity and bringing in faculty who attract new businesses and high-tech companies because of the research they do and the support that they can give them. We already have some interactions on our campus like that. We need to grow them. One of the finest facilities I have ever seen is about to be dedicated. It's the Science and Engineering Building. It's a building that encourages interdisciplinary research. It's a building that's built with flexible space, so research teams can move into it, adapt to it, change it with minimum cost, and to deliver products in a way that matches grant cycles and matches their productivity. It is, in short, a tangible symbol of our commitment to building a strong and robust economy, and I believe it will become the heartbeat in this state for economic diversification. And on that great note, I conclude today's address and invite you to the Science and Engineering Building dedication. Thank you all so much.